I am not well versed in the comic book lore or anything. I live at a place where comic books are kinda hard to come by, and I didn't really have the money for those. All my comic book knowledge is from the movies, TVs, animated projects, and the internet. Again, adaptation always means changes, so I'm not against any alteration in stories being presented on another form of media as long as those can fit in with the story well enough to be worthy of its existence in my eyes. With that out of the way, let's continue.
Shazam? Shazam?
Well. How the turntables...
With the state of DC Studio, I am really having a hard time trying to care about any DC projects that are being set within this universe, if you still can call it that. But there is always still a little bit of optimism within my heart when it comes to Shazam movies. Last time within such a small budget, at least for a current day superhero movie, David Sandberg still did an amazing job with the first installment. Not perfect, but absolutely wonderful. With that kind of success, now the big boss is more comfortable giving him more control with a higher budget, so I am very excited. Let's dive into Shazam vs. Charlie's Angel. The film starts with Billy unable to cope with the fact that his new family are all living their own life as they grow up. At the same time, a group of magic sisters that have extreme age gaps, at least on the surface, come to the human realm to retrieve some magical things, including the staff that Billy broke in the last movie. With his personal issue regarding the new family, Billy also needs to rally up his step-siblings to fight these evil sorcerers to prevent the end of his people. For those of you who are bored by the childlike nature of the first film, you might still not be sold on this one, but I think this time those scenes are done with a little bit more thought and creativity. I personally have no problem against those in the first one, so I absolutely adore it this time. Jokes are still a lot in this movie. I would say it has significantly more jokes than the last one, and not all of them landed this time. A lot of them are just kinda meh. I don't find them unfunny, but I don't laugh either. But with the good ones, I laughed hard. The people in the theater laughed off their asses as well. A few of them are really funny. The relationship between Freddy and Billy is still kept as the big part of the story, which is a plus as that is kinda the second most important thing in the last one. This time they are still having that loving but opposing dynamic, which really works well no matter which combination of those four actors are involved. The other family members are still side characters with lesser screen time than those two buddies, but the step-siblings are given a lot more chances to shine due to them now being a full-time heroes as well. Some in particular are given a bit more characters, and some still say the same as a person with identifiable tropes. The story this time doesn't hit as hard as last time. We do not just focus on how Billy grows as a person anymore. Now we are dealing with his growth, his siblings' growth, particularly Mary and Freddy, his new relationship dynamic with the parents, Merlin's return, and the villain's story, plans, and their growth. And none of them are new or creative ideas. We've seen all that stuff before, and putting them all together makes everything only have time to be touched on the surface level and quickly ends with the payoff that comes with the feeling of being underdeveloped. It's not like things are moving too fast, it is just too many things and they only have time to touch on them and move on. But luckily, all the cast's performance remains at the same high level as in the first one, which makes them still bearable to watch. The standout this time for me is definitely Jack Dylan Grazer. He kinda stole the show last time too, but Zach and Asher were brilliant as well. This time Jack is like 2 levels above everyone else, except Zach, maybe. Him and Zach give the 2 best performance, but Jack is more memorable. In this one, it even breaks into 2 storylines with Jack leading one of them. He successfully outdid himself against the last time the character hit the big screen. This time he not only gets to play the role again, but also has a love angle, a self-aware, some funny actions. Again, none of them are new concept, but Jake makes them so much fun. The most boring part I would say is Lucy Liu's character, unfortunately, but not to a level of unbearable. Her scenes are still watchable, but I would rather watch more of Jack's. Her character goes through again a very typical predictable journey, which doesn't help with a somewhat flat line delivery. I can tell the character experienced a lot of emotion, but Lucy always keeps a very soft and low volume voice that just can't make me take her character seriously as a threat. The film uses a lot more CGI in this film than the last time, like a lot. And that is probably why the CGI is not so great throughout the entire film. Not all of them are bad, sometimes they look good, sometimes they don't. Nothing is horrendously bad, but none of them is exceptionally well done as well. Last time we got those demons which looks fake as hell. This time we got a bunch of them. In some shots it works, some didn't, but for the most part it still fits in with the tone as a very childlike story that has a realistic take on how things are going to go down if a playful child gets to experience things like this. And yes, before I forgot, they even got their own variation of Hogwarts library, which is pretty cool. Also, during a cameo, a very familiar theme gets so loud to a point it was kinda hilarious. I laughed. The theme basically covered every sound. Overall, a nice little theater experience that did offer me joy for the most part. There are some cameos as well as the Shazam usual, but those cameos only make things more confusing with the news on James Gunn DC Universe, but that is not the point. The film is worse in the story department but improves on the characters. Characters are more layered, but too many stories are being jammed into this one film, which makes none of them hitting the right note, let alone all of them are very generic and old without being told in a new way. It will still give you laughter, action and fun, but lacks the soul a little bit when compared to the first one. So, if you are a fan of the first film, this one will not disappoint you too much or not at all. But if you don't like the first one, you can take a chance with this one. They do try to do things differently, although the result might not be that desirable. So, after watching the film, all I can say is DC is a bigger mess than we thought. I personally don't trust anything I saw regarding the news or rumor of corporate things. I just care about the end product. A movie can go through every hoops from a set incident or studio problems or anything, but still comes out great. And a movie can have a smooth sail but still turns out shitty. So I pray everything will work out fine, even though it doesn't seem so. But hey, no one wants to waste their time, right? The studio doesn't waste time doing things that don't make a profit. The directors don't want to make content that is bad. And I, as an audience, don't want to pay for something shitty. It takes everyone in every chain to make the right decisions to make good products. So there is no point to keep speculating or put your own brain of justice on things. Things happened, and we can only move on even though I don't want to, but that's life, baby.
Move along.